So we're again thrilled to share this space with you all to honor the excellence of all of our educators. This special morning isn't really just about recognizing achievements. It's really a celebration of all the passion, the dedication, and collective spirit that each of you brings to our department. Our faculty and staff educators, our trainees, our students really drive our department forward. And I'm always constantly inspired by the energy and purpose that you put into our educational mission and our educational activities. Medical education is where we really get the privilege of shaping the future and leaving the legacy that we hope to pass on. And so today we're really celebrating that spirit of lifelong learning and teaching and the deeper purpose that really drives us as educators and learners alike. And so with that, it is my incredible honor to introduce our grand round speaker for this morning, Dr. Rebecca Jackson. Dr. Jackson, Dr. Jackson truly embodies the well-known UCSF motto, "You can stay forever." Her journey at UCSF started with her medical degree, followed by her OBGYN residency and a fellowship in clinical research and epidemiology, all done here. And then our department had the great fortune of her joining the faculty after her training in 2000. Dr. Jackson's career is truly remarkable in every sense. Her CV is a testament to decades of meaningful work, filled with accolades, impactful research, and an extraordinary commitment to education. To just name one example, she's received over 50 teaching awards and recognitions spanning her time when she was a resident fellow and a faculty member. She's held numerous influential roles both within our department and across the institution. She served as the OBGYN residency site director at SFGH for more than 20 years. She was the associate residency program director for 14 years and has co-directed multiple medical school courses. She also served as the medical director for both them and New Generation Health Center for many years, which she actually saved from being shut down during the pandemic. And then she just recently served as the interim department chair. Currently, she's the division chief of the SFGH OBGYN division, the interim director of the UCSF Center of Excellence in Women's Health, and the vice chair of education. Dr. Jackson is really the ultimate role model for what it means to be a generalist, a clinical educator, a researcher, an educational leader, and a lifelong learner. She's developed a clinical niche in gynecologic care of older women to maximize resident education and patient care. She has a robust continuity clinic in GYN surgical practice where she directly teaches and mentors residents and students longitudinally. She gives a ton of CME talks a year in primary care and reproductive health. She's mentored many residents and fellows in research and published sentinel research with them. She's a board certified complex family planning subspecialist. She's contributed to national guidance in ACOG committee opinions and practice bulletins. And she mentors countless faculty in their clinical research and educational work. The list goes on. Her CV is 54 pages. But it goes without saying that Dr. Jackson has cultivated and shared a body of work rooted in patient-centered, evidence-based care, research, and education here in our department that's really created pathways and opportunities for other faculty to also achieve excellence. And so now we'll get to learn from her great wisdom in her Grand Rounds lecture today. Thanks, Dr. Jackson.
Wow, thank you. Well, I don't feel quite that special, and I will try my best to give you an interesting talk. I don't have any disclosures, but I haven't really spent enough time practicing this talk, so timing might not be quite right, but I will end on time. Happy Medical Educators Day. I mean, it's not really happy. I mean, we just made that up. But anyway, we're here today to celebrate medical education and essentially all of us, whatever our role is in this place, we are all here for medical education and have made a big impact in medical education. And I hope to show you how that impact is really magnified across each of the little interactions that we have. And it's the perfect time of year to have this. And I want to thank Sarah for having she was the brainchild of this event. Okay, both of them, but you know, this is the time, I call it the academic cycle of life. And those of you who do a lot of education, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This is when you see the medical students graduating. This is when you see the new sub-Is coming onto your teams, and you see the third years that are relatively new as well. And you see the new interns come, and it is immediately apparent to you what you have done as a teacher, because you see the growth that our current interns have made over this last year. And it's immediately apparent, and we all love it, and that's why we do it. And then when you think about the chiefs and the fellows at the end of their training, and you remember them sitting in orientation, and you remember them on their first rotation. Some of them had kind of big deer in the headlights looks. And then you look at them now, and they're at the top of their games. They're incredibly competent, continue to be incredibly compassionate. They didn't lose it. And they're very equity driven. And they're going to go out and they're going to spread that wherever they go. And you feel really proud. And we all do that. And we all do that every day. As you all know, teachers are relatively undervalued in our society, including at UCSF. But I would challenge you to think about a business leader that changed your life. And now I'll challenge you to think about a teacher that changed your life. And I think we all have them. They pop right into my head. When you say that, I think of my great teachers and how they changed my life. So they asked me to talk today about my path in medical education. And I think they did that because I've had a pretty long career and being a clinical educator at UCSF, and I've done a lot of different things. And like I said, I was asked to share my path. Those of you who know me know I'm an introvert. And not only am I an introvert, I'm kind of shy. And I don't really like sharing things about myself. So this is a little outside my comfort zone, but I'm going to do it to some extent because I have learned so much from other people sharing their path. It has opened my mind to ways to shape my career. So I'm going to try to do that. And I'm going to do something I'm a little more comfortable with, which is teach. So I'm going to share a couple teaching tips about how we can all be better teachers, I hope, and inspire. So I hope to inspire some people to make medical education with a big E, to become clinician educators with a big E, and to become leaders and to create change. Because I think medical education is a perfect way and a perfect segue into education, into leadership. Or you could skip the medical education and just go straight to leadership. I want to inspire you to create change. Of course, I don't really know how to work this. Is it the arrow button? Okay, so let's be frank. It's already a big responsibility and challenge to be a faculty member. Why do we teach? Why do we mentor? It adds time, work, inefficiency, mistakes are made. Why do we do it? And if you're a clinical educator, you add to that, you have to continue to give excellent care to your patient while at the same time teaching, which is challenging. One reason we do it is because we all had great teachers and we're giving back. I think of those greats, and some of the people in the audience trained at the same time as I did. And I think of Russell Eros and JT Pear, and I see my people smiling, Patty Robertson, Elena Gates, Nancy Milligan. Those were our big ones at UC. And then the big ones at San Francisco General were Phil Darney and Abner Korn, who's still there. And it makes you want to give back and have a positive impact on our learners, inspiring them. And even short interactions can make a huge difference. So when I was a resident, I was destined to become an MFM. And right now, Ben Lee is laughing hysterically. My main mentor was Sarah Kilpatrick, and I wanted to be just like her. I really wanted to be just like her. And she was an MFM. So I figured, well, I guess I have to be an MFM if I want to be just like her. And I knew I wanted to stay in academics. There was this new thing then called evidence-based medicine. Literally, it was new. It really appealed to me. I was an engineer before I was a doctor, and the sort of the numbers approach to thinking about disease really appealed to me. And I was standing at the scrub sink one night. I was third year. It was at Moffitt, getting ready to do a C-section. And Tracy Flanagan was there. And Tracy said, "What are you doing? What are you going into?" And I was like, "MFM." And she goes, she like stopped scrubbing. She looks at me, "MFM? Really?" And I say, "Yeah." And she goes, I didn't see you being a subspecialist." And I was like, "What?" She said, "I saw you being a generalist." And I was like, "What?" And I said, "But Tracy, I want to stay in academics." And she goes, "Yeah, of course I didn't call her Tracy, called her Dr. Flanagan. "I want to stay in academics. And I understand you have to like have a niche to stay in academics. And so I have to do a fellowship to stay in academics." Well, it happened to be that Tracy was one of the few people who hadn't done it, who was one of our generalists back then without subspecialty training. And she's like, "There are other ways to develop a niche besides doing a subspecialty training." And so that opened my brain to thinking about other ways. And I should have known, because I couldn't write that darn MFM application to save my life. I just really couldn't write it. And then I discovered this clinical research fellowship, which was relatively new at the VA. And there were two really great people who'd done it before me, George Sawaya, who's one of my all-time best teaching mentors, and Leslie Subak, who's now the chair at Stanford. And I was like, well, if those two did it and they came out so well, maybe I should go ahead and do that. So I did that fellowship. And that was one interaction at a scrub sink that completely changed my career, because I am not a clinical researcher. I am a clinical educator. That is where my heart is. And I would not have been as happy as a clinical researcher. And I don't think I would have made as much a difference. So every little interaction. I put these quotes up here, and Abraham Verghese is one of my favorite authors. So if you haven't read him, he has medical themes through his really long novels. And he says, "A physician should never underestimate the impact they can have on a patient's life." And I believe that. And a teacher should never underestimate the impact they can have on a future physician's life. And I believe that as well. But it's more than that. It's more than giving back. When I really think about it, medical education can drive change and does drive change. And our educators here at UCSF drive change. This is how I think. It's a shame we don't have whiteboards anymore. Pointer. So to me, there's three ingredients going on here. The first one, let's see, this one, no. There we go. Anyway, we'll just go with my hand. So the first one is trainee selection. So it's the secret sauce, right? If we can get the best trainees and spend a lot of time thinking about how we recruit our trainees, then we get this virtual cycle that Beef 2 mentioned, right? Our trainees drive us to be better teachers. Because we're better teachers, we get better trainees. Because the trainees are so good, they go off and do great things. So the secret sauce is getting talented, altruistic trainees who have a vision for more, who have a drive for change. And it's taken us years. And I think we're getting close to perfecting this formula. And they have incredibly diverse experiences, which allows them to go out into all parts of the world to change that. And I don't mean international world, I mean world everywhere. And they become change makers and leaders. And this is just a little tiny list of the people that I could think of recently who became leaders in various places. Kaiser is like UCSF, East, West, South. I mean, all the leadership, big leadership positions are from UCSF trained people. Highland, Stanford, Harbor UCLA, Kansas, Irvine. That's just a small list. The second ingredient is what we do as teachers here. So we have our direct teaching and mentoring of medical students, residents, midwife students, fellows, and CME, where we get to influence practicing physicians. And we teach about what I call UCSF care. UCSF care is really, I think, unique. It is not paternalistic. Patient is in the center. It's trauma-informed. It's respectful. It's collaborative. It's evidence-based. And it's unique. I hear from people who go to other parts of the country and they're like, that is not how they practice medicine here. So you take that and you multiply that by the fact that every one of our trainees is going to go out and teach about 100 people. And every one of our trainees that practices medicine is going to treat thousands of patients. So it's an exponential effect that we have. And then lastly, the top part, which I'll talk about a little later, is that it turns out that many of the skills of being a medical educator are the exact same skills of being a leader. So I want to transition to that lower part. How do you be a better educator? So we are blessed with how many opportunities we have at UCSF. Like every month or every 2 weeks, you get an email about some opportunity, and it becomes a little overwhelming, but there are so many opportunities, and I encourage you to take them throughout your career. I still do them now. I still learn from them. So this is just a list of some of the various things. I'll mention 1 minute preceptor is a quick way to teach at every clinical encounter that you do. Stop, start, continue. I hope you've all heard of this. It's a really nice way to give feedback, which is, I think, the bane of all of our existences is giving feedback. But this is a really easy way to do it. It works very well. You say something like, I noticed that you did a really good history and you focused in on the key positives and negatives. I want you to keep doing that. And I want you to next time expand your assessment a little bit, because it just said what you were doing and not the assessment. And what I want you to stop is I want you to be really careful when you cut from other notes, because you put things in there that we didn't do. So I want you to stop doing that. Super easy, super powerful. Creating an inclusive learning environment. It's a buzzword, right? Inclusive learning environment. But it turns out there's a formula and you can learn it, and we can all do a better job helping our learners to grow. And then getting topped sounds kind of scary, but it is the teaching observation program through the AME. Really great way to get an experienced teacher to come and observe you. It's nice, especially in the OR, for example, or when you're trying to teach a procedure, or if you've gotten some feedback that you feel like you need to improve upon. You ask one of these, you ask for a top, and you get topped, and they teach you how to teach better. It's a fantastic program. This is just showing you the Center of Faculty for Education. Please go there. They have a variety of both online things and workshops. They also have little 3-minute videos that you can look at real quick and that help you to be a better teacher. And there are also mentoring programs, so we can be better mentors as well, and leadership training. Although I would say that there's limited leadership training at UCSF, and you might need to go outside, or not even might need to, you should go, in addition to the UCSF training, go to outside leadership training courses, as many as you can get. So now I want to turn to a little bit, two pieces of specific advice. So one is about didactic teaching and one is about clinical teaching. So this is from Nika Seidman's talk last week. She said we should give more talks. And I agree with her. She said we should give more talks because it allows you to refine your research question. It allows you to understand what clinicians are thinking about. And I agree with all of that. Plus, it turns out that the skills of giving a talk are the skills of being a leader. It's kind of funny. You need to know your audience, right? You need to know what drives them, and you need to know what's going to keep them from saying yes. And you need to think about that and plan your talk accordingly. You need to prepare, but you don't want to read, right? So it's hard. That was the first thing I learned when I took a medical education course is you don't read your slides or you don't read your notes, because even if you forget something, it won't be something that's important. It's much more important to show your heart and to show your mind than it is to read. So you have to be prepared, but you need to be talking with your enthusiasm and your passion. Being efficient with your words. If you've ever tried to create a 40-minute lecture on material that is, I don't know, 5 hours long, and you've distilled it down to think about the very key things you need to talk about, that's what you need to do as well when you're sitting at the table trying to get your ideas across. You need to be concise and pithy, but still have context. So it's a really good skill. In a good lecture, you always know what the core message is. And similarly, a leader says their core messages over and over and over in different ways, in different settings, until they hear their people saying the message themselves as if they thought of it. That's success right there. And in a good lecture, there's always time for discussion, because that's where the learning is. We learn by talking and by asking questions and discussing. Similarly, when you're leading a meeting, when you're talking about a complex problem, you need to leave time for discussion. That's what gets you buy-in. You cannot create change without buy-in, and you cannot have buy-in without letting everyone talk and be heard. So right here, my leadership lesson. And then a little specific advice about clinical teaching. Confidence is everything. And not just for the learner, but for the teacher. If we don't have confidence, our learners don't have confidence in us, they get scared. That's a bad scene. Fake it till you make it still holds true 25 years later. I want especially the interns and the rising chiefs to listen to this. Specific positive feedback, 7-to-1. So there are actually studies that we cannot incorporate constructive feedback unless we are given enough positive feedback. If you are only giving corrective feedback, which is what we tend to do with our new interns, because really, you know, they don't know how to do the most basic things, but you still need to figure out a way to incorporate positive feedback into what they're doing, because otherwise, how do they know what they're doing right? They only hear what they're doing wrong, and they never hear what they're doing right. This isn't easy. It seems like it should be easy, but it's not actually easy. You have to practice. And positive feedback isn't good job. It's good job because. So you got to tell them every time you find yourself saying good job, you need to say because. And then you will get that 7-to-1 ratio that you desired. Good job. I heard you talking to that patient on the phone. She sounded really scared. You took a lot of time to walk her through the steps. I heard you do that. That's it. Super easy. And they're like, oh, cool. The other thing is think about being a learner, right? Being in a clinical setting as a learner it's kind of scary, right? Like what we do is kind of interesting. You know what was hard. Anticipate that. Prepare them. Don't make them feel like they're the only ones who've ever found this to be hard, right? Level that playing field. Tell them everyone finds it hard. And then lastly, try to find a way to have them show their strengths, right? Here they are trying their best to learn, feeling like maybe they don't belong, feeling maybe like imposters. I think everyone at UCSF has some amount of imposter syndrome, right? I mean, I got in off the wait list. I still have a bit of an imposter syndrome. Yeah, I see some clapping going on. Yay for the wait list. But, you know, more so women, more so people of color. And one way to help people, and if you get in your head thinking about why you don't belong, you're not learning, right? So it is our job as teachers to help people to feel confident enough and belonging enough that they can learn. Okay, for those who want to do more, who want to be the clinical educator with a capital E, who want to lead things, who want to change things, you got to push yourself. You really have to continue to push yourself throughout your career. And pushing yourself is good, right? The antidote to burnout is engagement. Absolutely. So these are just some ideas. The AME, the Academy of Medical Educator, has funding for either designing curriculum development, for clinical or educational research, etc. And there are ways to create sessions or electives. So every year, the CODA course, the 4th year course at the end of the year, they make a call for people to create a session for the graduating medical students. Not that much work, very fulfilling. And again, you're putting yourself out there, showing that you want to be an educator. The course director of CODA sees you, other people see you, etc. Being the School of Medicine often puts out pleas for various positions, like being a coach, or I think recently there was one about creating the anti-oppressive curriculum. So even if you don't feel really ready or qualified, you should really put yourself out there. Fill out the form. It allows everyone else to know you're interested. You tell your boss you're doing it, for example, then your boss is looking for opportunities for you. And then easy things to do are hosting students. And again, very, very fulfilling. My favorite thing is having my longitudinal student with me in clinic. And I've done that for years and years and years. This is just showing the funding opportunities and the SPAN program, which is the longitudinal specialty clinic program. So back to my beautiful picture. We talked a little bit about how in the lower right corner, how to be better teachers. And now I want to focus a little bit more on the leadership part. So how we as medical educators can drive change. And, you know, we need to get us to drive change. You need a seat at the table, or you need to create a new table. So how do you do that? How do you get there? And once you've got that seat at the table, that's when you can drive your change. And we have so many people that have had national positions that are driving change beyond UCSF, as well as many within UCSF that are driving change. And now I know some of you are thinking this, that I don't want to be a leader. What is she talking about, leadership? Yeah. And they think of things like, but I don't like administrative work. Well, I don't like administrative work either. But you know what? There's some small amount of administrative work that you have to do. And I have to say, we all have to do administrative work, even when we're not leaders. But that's not what leadership is. Leadership is not doing administrative work, right? And I know others of you are thinking, I really don't like meetings. She's talking about a seat at the table. A table means a meeting. Ooh. And that's kind of true, but that's where decisions get made. That is where decisions get made. And if you're not at that table, you're not part of that decision. So you got to learn to stomach those meetings. And I have to tell you, once you're more in charge of the meeting, it's not quite as bad. But you end up learning, right? The more committees you join, the more you learn, the more people you know, the more you see how this very complex place works, and it guides you toward making that change that you want to make. And I would argue, actually, we are all leaders already because we're faculty members or because we're physicians. And the society looks at us as leaders, and we might as well just embrace that and accept it. Okay, how do you get a seat at the table? This is my most important piece of advice. You will hear the contrary, but I myself, as well as many others I have seen, have been successful because they said yes. You will hear people say, oh no, boundaries, work-life balance, don't say yes. But I disagree. Yes, you should have your family, and that should be so important to you, but you can do both. You can have a boundary where you take care of your family and have that part of your life, and you can be all in at work, all in. Say yes to committees, say yes to opportunities, apply for things you don't feel ready for, say yes to things you don't think you'd be particularly good at, but they asked you to do it because you're going to get a new skill set if you do that thing. I've said so many yeses, and the only time to say no is when your plate is overflowing. And when your plate's overflowing, be careful about saying no. Don't just say no. Say, that's a great idea. Let me think about it. And then you go home, you talk to your wife or your husband, and you say what you say. And they're like, what, are you crazy? And you go back and you say, that was a great idea. And maybe, you could ask so-and-so to do it. I just can't do it right now, but I think you should pursue it, right? So you give the graceful no. But I really encourage you to say yes. So back to my story, after I finished my fellowship, it was abundantly clear to me that I really didn't want to be a 75% researcher, which is what that fellowship is designed to do. It's designed to show you how to have a career as a clinical researcher. I also knew that I loved San Francisco General, and I had loved it since I was a third-year medical student, and that I knew I wanted to work there. So there were a lot of changes in the residency, and the residency director at the time was Lee Learman, and he was also the 5M medical director. So I saw my path in. So I convinced him that I could be the 5M medical director, because he would really rather not have continued to do that job. And so they created a position, and I applied and I got it. And it was a big job, and I was maybe a little bit prepared because I'd been an administrative chief resident. So I kind of had some sense, but I'll tell you, that's a complex place in a complex system. It took me about 5 years to figure it out. But meanwhile, I was doing a lot of teaching. I was doing collaborative research because of my fellowship, and I was still doing a lot of teaching, especially epi and evidence-based medicine, because in our fellowship, they taught us that we needed to go forth and teach this material to everyone, how important it was. And I took that to heart, and I was doing all these small groups in epi. And I think 2 or 3 years into being a faculty member, the School of Medicine made their first huge curriculum change. And they went from standard, like standalone anatomy, physiology courses to blocks, where they combined a lot of things in one block. They decided they would have this block called the cancer block. And in the cancer block, they would teach a lot of epidemiology as well as a lot of other things. And that the co-director of that block should be have an epidemiology focus. Well, the 2 current course directors were like, I'm out of here. I've been doing this 25 years. I'm not making a new curriculum. Forget it. And they came knocking on my door, my little 2 years out of fellowship door, and said, hey, you want to do this? And I was like, what? And there's the example of like, I was not qualified in any way, except that I had the enthusiasm. And I did that job for like 5 years. And I am so grateful that somebody asked me to do it, because that made me a clinical educator. That took my path away from research and into clinical education. And I was busy. But it was good. It was really good. It was challenging. It was fulfilling. And after a good amount of time, like 5 years, I felt like I could back out of it and back into residency, which is really where my heart has been ever since. So getting a seat at the table, in addition to saying yes, is again building those skills. So many opportunities. We can do relationship-centered care. I mean, all of these things just come through our email to us. It's a reason to look that email from time to time. Um, so anyway, I just encourage you to do the opportunities. And then once you're there, like, how do you keep doing it? We work in incredibly bureaucratic systems, right? I mean, my goodness, like to get something done is like a force of nature, just the littlest thing. How do you keep pressing for change despite that and in spite of limited resources? And the answer is perseverance and putting notes on the wall to remind yourself of what it is you're working on, because there's so many competing priorities, right? So easy to get caught in all the other stuff that people want you to do. So easy to avoid the bigger, harder thing, which is the bigger, harder change that you need to make. Nika last week told a story that I think really illustrates what is needed to make change in a bureaucratic system like ours. So she was talking about the founding of Team Lily, but also about our approach to CPS, Child Protective Services at San Francisco General. And when we were younger and residents, and even much beyond that, there was one person, the social worker, who made a decision about whether a patient should be referred to CPS and whether those families should be separated from each other. And someone, maybe Nika, I don't know, realized how unjust that was. And what began as just that noticing of the injustice of it became this huge endeavor to change it. And that endeavor involved, pediatrics, nursing, our talk screen policy, how the police interact with us at San Francisco General. And finally, it involved actually getting the DPH leadership to intervene with the social workers. She mentioned this. I don't think she said how long it took. It took at least 10 years and probably 15. So patience, super important when you're trying to do something. So back to why is MedEd a path to change, to drive change? Just look around the room. Look on Zoom. You have usually the residents sit in one place, but right now they're kind of moving, they're kind of all over. But usually you can look at one part of the room and you see the residents. And we know that they are our future and that they do have the drive and the ability to create change in the world. And we have that responsibility to teach them. We look around the room and we see our fantastic leaders and what they're doing in the world and at UCSF. And that is how you know that medical education can change. It can create change. And so with that, I wrap up, and let's celebrate ourselves for doing this work. And thank you to Sarah and Beef too for organizing this day.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. That was an incredibly inspirational, thought-provoking talk, and really just affirms why all of us are here in this room and why we all are really passionate about being a part of education. So many of us have gotten to be fortunate to benefit from your wisdom, your expertise, and also to learn from your unwavering support and feel like we always have someone in our corner to help us know these things and all these tips that you've shared with us. And so that gives me the incredible privilege of getting to present you with the Lifetime Achievement Award for Exceptional OBGYN Education. Yes, the same sweater. It looks like we took this picture today. When you walked in this morning, that's what I thought too. But now I get to embarrass you a little bit with some words from others that people have shared. Rebecca just embodies how I want to be and is an incredible teacher. She made me feel so at ease and supported as a trainee and a young attending. She made teaching look fun and easy, and it was clear it gave her a lot of joy. She's been an inspiration, and to this day, I aspire to teach others like she does. She's an excellent teacher, allows residents to practice their procedural skills, and brings an enthusiasm that makes me excited to be working with her. And look, there's a little shout out for your didactic teaching, which makes sense for the slide you had. Rebecca has become not just a mentor, but a true partner, someone I've come to rely on for guidance, perspective, and encouragement. She has an extraordinary ability to make those around her feel like collaborators, even as she gently and generously imparts her deep wisdom and experience. Working with her has shaped the way I think about mentorship and education and has helped me grow in ways that I didn't fully anticipate. Her support has spurred my creativity, expanded my confidence, and helped me see new possibilities for leadership and impact. Rebecca Jackson is the GOAT. Those of you who don't know what that is, greatest of all time. It's always an honor, privilege, and pleasure to work with Dr. Jackson, one of the best doctors and surgical teachers I've worked with. I hope to be like her when I grow up. Dr. Jackson is a selfless physician, educator, mentor, and leader, one whom I one day hope to be like. She consistently puts others before herself and endlessly gives to her patients and mentees. She's an outstanding educator whose dedication to teaching and unwavering support for trainees has shaped the careers of countless students, residents, fellows, and faculty. She doesn't just teach medicine, she models how to be a thoughtful, justice-driven physician and leader. And lastly, she makes you feel like anything is possible. No matter what you're discussing, she sits and listens and helps you think through whatever, big or small, and then helps you to make it happen. She cares deeply about lifelong learning for everyone, medical students, residents, and faculty. It's so wonderful to have a leader who deeply values education. Her values of lifelong learning are evident in her own curiosity and her endless support of all of us who love teaching and aspire to be excellent medical educators just like her. So thank you for having such a significant and transformative impact on all of us. And now we'll start the awards presentation. I'll hand it off to Kristen.
Well, we really feel like we're standing on the shoulder of giants like you. So we're so excited to celebrate all of the educators for UME. And let's see if I can fix it. Yeah. Perfect. So the first recognition is for OBGYN STAR. And STAR stands for Starting Strong, Tools and Advice for Residency Program, which was enacted in 2024 as an additional mentorship path. It was inspired by Sarah Whetstone's program during COVID, where she had both outside and our internal students apply. And the STAR was an invaluable tool for a successful match this year, citing the program structure, which centered around one-on-one advisory program sessions, provided a critical resource for professional development and professional guidance. These interactions enhance students' understanding of the residency process and equip them with tools to make informed decisions. And we just want to recognize all of our STAR mentors, Serena Liu, Olga Ram, Stacy Young, Jia Zhang, Netta Kavari, Libby Pepberg. And yeah.
It's not advancing. Okay. Okay. Next, we want to recognize, let's see, residents who served as OBGYN STAR mentors. Residents are a really key part of the STAR team. So Yvonne Verduzco, Shyler Edwards, Catherine Brito, Grace Chen, and Odera Okafor. Thank you so much for your service in this really important program. Now we're going to announce outstanding resident teachers. These are awarded based on medical student evaluation scores and comments. I'm just going to list them all here, and then I'll go through some comments. So starting with our PGY4, Isabel Wajenko, and I wish I could read all these wonderful comments, but just a sample. Working with Isabel on my OBGYN rotation was honestly one of the best parts of med school so far. Even though I'm not going into the field, she's the kind of resident I hope to be like one day. Super supportive, calm under pressure, and an amazing teacher. In the OR, she always made time to teach even when things were busy. She explained what was going on in a way that made it easy to follow and never made me feel like I was in the way. Outside the OR, she was super approachable and always willing to answer questions or go over things with me, whether it was anatomy, ultrasounds, clinical reasoning. She created such a supportive team vibe and led by example. I'm grateful to have worked with someone like her. For PGY3, Jessica Valdez. Dr. Valdez is an excellent educator. I especially appreciated the opportunity to practice presenting patients after taking bridge H&Ps. Her brief feedback was helpful, and she spent time learning about my interests and recommending opportunities that will help me advance my career. She's a generous educator. She made me feel very comfortable in the learning environment, was incredibly supportive in helping me learn and engage with the content. I really appreciated her guidance and encouragement during my rotation. PGY2, Taylor Streety. Taylor was an exceptional resident teacher during my rotation, consistently providing clear and respectful feedback that helped me improve while making me feel truly seen and supported as a learner. Taylor was always conscientious of my goals and thoughtfully assigned tasks that enhanced my growth and contribution to the team. Her kindness and respect toward everyone, team members and patients alike, were inspiring and set an incredible example. Her teaching and leadership significantly enriched my learning experience. And then for the distinction in medical education awarded to an intern, we selected Elle Cleland, selected by our Match 2025 cohort, chosen due to her showing excellent teaching as a medical educator, and which started as a medical student at UCSF, teaching in life stages in the preclinical curriculum, and continuing today. Thank you, Elle. Okay, so perfect.
We have another special commendation for dedication to medical education, which goes to Jess Gamrell. In one of the she exemplified an inclusive learning environment. One of the comments from our students was, I worked with Dr. Gamrell during my antepartum rotation at Mission Bay and enjoyed my overall learning experience. She facilitated a supportive learning environment by making space for me to ask questions and provided through explanations, which were very helpful for my learning. I appreciate that Dr. Gamrell was intentional about making sure I got to share my presentation on endometriosis with the team. I also appreciated Dr. Gamrell as intentional about identifying teachable moments, as well as guiding me in history taking and physical exams. Overall, I felt valued as a member of the care team and cared for both as a trainee and a person. I'm grateful to have gotten to learn from Dr. Gamrell and the great learning experience.
So announcing our award for fellow award for medical student teaching this year goes to Leah Warmack. And a comment from student. I really enjoyed working with Dr. Warmack. She was consistently kind and patient. She helped create a fun and supportive learning environment on the Gyn-Onc team, in which I felt comfortable asking any questions and learning from my mistakes. I really appreciate how much time she spent teaching me, answering all my questions, and making sure I could follow along with each case. I also appreciate how she involved me in surgical tasks when possible and was thoughtful of my learning goals. I learned so much working with her in the OR and while taking care of patients on the floor. I look forward to hopefully working with her in the future. Yay.
And on to our faculty awards. A million thanks to our SPAN preceptors for 2025. SPAN, which stands for Specialty Practice Ambulatory Sub-Internship, is a required longitudinal outpatient preceptorship during career launch that allows fourth-year students to develop advanced patient ambulatory skills in a subspecialty of their choice. By working longitudinally in the outpatient clinic setting, they explore a field that interests them, gain knowledge and skills relevant to their chosen path, and begin residency training well prepared to care for patients in an ambulatory environment. The OBGYN SPAN preceptors are here: Daisy Leon Martinez, Rebecca Jackson, Robin Lamar, Sarah Whetstone, and Caitlin Painter. And Marcel Cedars, Sarah Newman, Julie Nicole from UCSF Fresno, George Sawaya, and Karen Mextroth. All of you. I feel the same way. We're thrilled to present the outstanding mentorship of medical students to Nagma Faruqi. There are many comments, but I'll just, for time, mention one of them. Dr. Faruqi provided frequent feedback and reasoning behind her feedback for future applications. I appreciated having the opportunity to be observed taking care of patients and directly receiving feedback. She modeled efficient and effective patient care communication in every encounter I was present for. Dr. Faruqi is an excellent educator and clinician who takes the time to guide students through potentially stressful portions of the OBGYN rotation. I appreciated her thoughtfulness and patience during our time in the OBGYN service. Thank you, Dr. Faruqi. And on to our final awards for medical student teaching. These are the Outstanding Clinical Teaching Awards for medical students. These awards were determined by scores and comments from the clerkship students, elective and sub-Is. So first, Sherry Foote. And I think she's on IMD, right? On service. So we always look forward to having Sherry on service for the day. She's clearly extremely knowledgeable, shared clinical tips and know-how, let students get hands-on and guided them well, and was fantastic with patients, which was helpful to observe and learn from. Sherry's positive energy and enthusiasm for caring for her patients and teaching is infectious. She consistently provided opportunities to see and learn new things and was overall a joy to work with. I only wish that we had more opportunities to work together on L&D. Congratulations to Sherry for being a leader on the wards and educating medical students.
Next award goes to Xia Zhang from students. And a student writes, "It was a pleasure to work with Dr. Zhang. I felt equipped and appreciate her guidance on the important questions to ask her post-op patients. It was also meaningful to receive her consistent encouragement and supportive feedback. She made me feel like an important part of the team. On the first day of my OR service, I really appreciated how much she included me, asking me anatomy questions, teaching me about different aspects of the procedure, and explaining her thinking out loud so that I could learn why steps were being done. When I got an answer wrong, it was clear her goal was to make sure I understood the correct answer for the future, but not to embarrass me. I really appreciated after each case when she asked the residents and myself what was one thing we each took away from the case, and what we learned made me feel like we were all on the same team. Sincere appreciation to Jaja for your dedication."
Now for Li Mei Chen. Dr. Chen consistently provided enthusiastic teaching and learning opportunities and was clearly invested in my learning and growth. She treated me and others with respect and modeled inclusive patient-centered care. She was available for questions, applied gentle and direct feedback real time, and was extremely helpful in growing procedural skills as well as patient presentations and taking histories. I wish I had more days taught in this way by all preceptors and truly appreciate it. Appreciate, as always, Li Mei's dedication for her tireless efforts.
And I'm delighted to honor my SFGH coworker, also Josie Urbina, who is holding down the fort at San Francisco General today. So comments about Dr. Urbina, she was always so encouraging and welcoming. I appreciated her direction in the OR as it was one of my first experiences. She allowed me to scrub in, which was appreciated. In clinic, her feedback was direct and allowed me to improve my performance. She's very approachable and responsive toward all my questions. I admired her passion for patient-centered care and patient education. Thank you so much, Dr. Urbina.
Oh, this day is the best. So much excitement. Okay, now we get to present our resident and fellow recognition and awards as voted by the residents. We are just incredibly proud of how all of you have contributed so much, all of your accomplishments and your work together as trainees and colleagues. So the first award that we have to present is the winner of the Outstanding PGY2 Teacher, who is Dr. Yvonne Verduzco. This award is given by the PGY1s to honor the PGY2 that's had the greatest impact on their teaching this year. Dr. Verduzco is consistently celebrated for going above and beyond in her teaching efforts and in mentoring and guiding interns and medical students. She's gifted at cultivating welcoming and inclusive learning environments, always ensures her team is well supported. One intern said, "She is my go-to person for questions in residency and OBGYN related. A shift has not gone by where Yvonne has not taught me something despite being tired. She's an exemplar R2, and I hope to emulate her." Congratulations, Yvonne. This year, we're really fortunate to have 3 chief residents that have been recognized for their outstanding resident teaching. This award is given by all residents and recognizes those 4th-year residents who consistently teach and mentor their co-residents with excellence and dedication. So our first chief resident winner is Dr. Chrissy Freeman. Some of the words shared by your co-resident Chrissy is beyond one of the best teachers I've ever had. She doesn't just show you what to do, but she actually observes you and gives you feedback and useful tips on how to actually improve. She has an exceptional ability to teach with clarity and a strong foundation in evidence-based medicine. Chrissy consistently brings both depth and accessibility to complex topics, making them understandable and relevant. Her teaching fosters critical thinking, encourages evidence-driven decision-making, and ensures that residents feel confident in applying the latest research to clinical practice. Congratulations. Our next chief resident winner, who's unfortunately not here with us today, is in Fresno, is Dr. Shakura Kemet Rosenwald. Some words about Dr. Kemet's strengths is that Shakura is always sharing her wealth of knowledge for the team. She's committed not just to her own learning, but to sharing her own wisdom and experiences with her peers and juniors so that we all may similarly benefit. She is an excellent, clear, and thorough teacher. She's committed to evidence-based practice and is eager to help us learn the literature that guides our practice. Congratulations, Shakura. And then our third best PGY4 teacher is Dr. Amy Ransaha. Her colleagues said, "Amy is one of the kindest, most patient, thoughtful people I have ever worked with. She maintains a passion for medicine and a zest for learning that's unparalleled. I've always felt safe when learning from Amy, from being a second-year medical student all the way up until now. She's a model for what educators should be, evidence-based and up-to-date, thoughtful, humorous, kind, and warm. She prioritizes teaching and is deeply knowledgeable and always keeps the patient at the center of the discussion." Congratulations. I'm also loving all the evidence-based shout outs for Rebecca Jackson's talk. It's amazing. We're seeing that teaching impact. Okay, and then this year's winner for the most outstanding teaching fellow, as given by the residents, is Dr. Ophelia Yin. She's unfortunately not able to join us today, but I'll share some of the incredible things that the residents have said about her outstanding teaching. Ophelia is an excellent teacher. Every time you work with her, you learn something new. There's nothing she does not know, and she inspires me to be a better physician. Ophelia is goals. She cares so deeply about her patients and their care, and it's evident when you work with her. She's also literally the smartest person I know. Spend a minute with her and you'll see that. However, even though she's a genius, she never makes us feel less than or guilty for not knowing something. She's eager to teach and is an all-time favorite with us. We all know we're in good hands whenever Ophelia is on. Congratulations, Ophelia. And now we get to honor 5 residents as the winners of this year's Unsung Resident Hero Award. This award goes to the residents who consistently go above and beyond for their patients and colleagues, usually behind the scenes, and honors those whose significant and positive impact enriches our residency program. These residents really embody the spirit of service, altruism, and compassion. So these year's winners are Dr. Hannah Light Olson, Dr. Schuyler Edwards, Dr. Grace Chen, Dr. Mariela Nevarez, and Dr. Sadie Scott. I'm going to hand it off to Dr. Scott for the next award.
Okay, click it now. Okay. Hi. Okay. I have the privilege of awarding this Resident Recognition Award, and it goes to Dr. Say Dojiri. Unfortunately, she isn't here today. She's in SICU, but I would just say a few wonderful words about her. So I had the pleasure of working with Say across many rotations this year and witnessed firsthand the dedication, joy, and initiative she brings to her work. She is truly passionate about learning and consistently strives to do her best. Her positivity is infectious. She brings so much joy to the workplace and uplifts those around her. From day one, she demonstrated the ability to independently develop clear and thoughtful assessments and plans. Her bedside manner is exceptional, and she quickly became my right hand on L&D, updating every handoff and discharge summary before I even had a chance to get to it. I've genuinely admired her growth throughout the year and just wanted to acknowledge her consistently showing up for her patients, her colleagues, and for me. It's been a privilege to work alongside her. Thank you.
Ooh. Congratulations to all our residents and fellows. We're really proud of you and always impressed by you. It's now my privilege to present the Faculty and Staff Awards. We are going to start with recognizing the role of midwives in medical education. Midwives play a truly essential role in obstetric education, especially in teaching the principles of patient-centered care and in honoring physiologic birth. They are truly our core educators on labor and delivery. We had many, many nominations for the most impactful CNM award, and in that respect, we want to honor many of them. So we have honorable mention for 2 of our midwife educators. The honorable mention goes to Becca Omrault and Laura Wheel. One resident said, Becca is a guiding light on UCSF L&D. Her calm presence, deep clinical knowledge, and unwavering advocacy for patients set a gold standard for compassionate, person-centered care. Another resident shared that Laura has it all: Exclamation point. She is so compassionate, teaches and leads by example on how to demonstrate empathy at all hours of difficult shifts towards patients. Let's congratulate Becca and Laura again. This year's most impactful CNM award goes to someone who's had a tremendous impact in her short time here. As you can tell, the praise about Camila Soto is effusive. Let me just share some quotes. She's always ready to teach. She has a wealth of knowledge that she's always willing to share and will go the extra mile to make sure you grow and develop independence. She's the strongest advocate for residents on the L&D floor, both an excellent educator and advocate for resident wellness. She works so hard to continue learning herself so that she can have the most impact in her teaching. She brings light and joy into every space she enters. She's absolutely excellent. I can't overstate my immense appreciation for Camila. Truly the best. Please join me in celebrating Camila Soto. Next, we would like to honor 3 faculty members who've had a significant impact on resident education. The first is Dr. Daisy Leon Martinez. Unfortunately, she can't be here with us today, but I hope she's listening. But she serves as a powerful physician role model and educator. Dr. Leon Martinez goes above and beyond for her patients and her residents. She's exceptionally dedicated to our learning, makes a safe space for trainees to ask questions, and encourages our growth and autonomy. She's an incredible mentor, teacher, and doctor. Every time I hear her talk to patients, I'm inspired by her compassion, patience, thoughtfulness, and ability to connect with all. She is so knowledgeable and inspires me to be both a better doctor and a better person. Let's give it up for Dr. Leon Martinez. Second is Dr. Megan Swanson. An ardent and committed gyn-onc medical educator. Dr. Swanson has worked tirelessly to improve the gyn-onc experience for residents, to enhance their learning and growth, and to ensure mastery of core knowledge and principles. What sets Dr. Swanson apart are her investment in the success of individual residents and her cultivation of a welcoming and nurturing clinical learning environment so that residents truly thrive. I'm not done. Dr. Swanson goes above and beyond to provide one-on-one teaching and conference preparation, often on her own free time. Someone said Dr. Swanson is a model of good pedagogy. She models what teaching should be like. She teaches high yield, high volume information. She's truly a role model. And our last impactful educator award goes to Dr. Naseem Sobhani. I have a lot to say, so take your time. Dr. Sobhani has served as our inaugural Director of Resident Research and Scholarly Activity. She has transformed the resident research experience, providing incredible guidance, always honest feedback, and impactful teaching. She's implemented a curriculum on research methodologies, as well as a journal club, which has helped residents learn how to analyze Sentinel and current articles. In the words of the residents, Dr. Sobhani is a legend. She provides research and clinical mentorship, always gives feedback on notes in clinical care that has helped many of us grow. Moreover, she's so dedicated to resident learning and resident support. She's instrumental in our understanding of both research and diabetes. We appreciate her so much. Join me in celebrating these 3 impactful educators. Okay, we're going to switch gears. Each year, we ask residents to nominate staff members whose efforts help foster a positive clinical learning environment for them and who helps make their jobs even better. We received countless nominations, but today we're going to honor 2 staff members, one from UCSF Health and one from San Francisco General Hospital. These individuals have contributed meaningfully and positively to the resident experience and education. This year, it is my distinct privilege to recognize Cassandra Wright for the Best UCSF Health Staff Award. You can see the enthusiasm for her. She is someone who goes above and beyond to support residents in their work. She always has a great attitude and is always working to make the Mount Zion Clinic run smoothly. Truly a joy to work with. Cass invests deeply in residents, getting to know them as individuals and always setting them up for success. Today, the residents wish to thank her for her inspiring effort and genuine kindness. And at SFG, the recipient of the Outstanding Staff Award is Mona Saber. In nominating Mona, someone wrote such beautiful words. I'm going to share them with you in their full. Mona brings warmth, wisdom, and joy to every corner of labor and delivery. Her care is rooted in deep experience and shaped by her Palestinian heritage, where resilience, hospitality, and love for community run strong. She moves through each birth with a calm confidence, offering not just clinical excellence, but comfort, connection, and a reassuring smile that instantly puts families at ease. Mona has a gift for making people feel seen. Whether she's supporting a first-time parent through labor or mentoring a new nurse with patience and grace, she creates a sense of belonging wherever she goes. Her presence makes the unit feel like a village, held together by kindness, teamwork, and trust. To know Mona is to feel cared for. To work with her is to be inspired daily by her generosity, skill, and heart. And although she can't be with us in presence, I hope she's listening and understands the impact she has on so many. Let's celebrate Mona. And now I'll present our last award for the morning, sponsored by the Council on Resident Education, Obstetrics, and Gynecology. The National Faculty Award for Excellence in Resident Education recognizes faculty members' contributions to the residents they teach. Each residency program recognizes one member of the faculty annually for excellence in resident education. And today I get to present this award to a very special individual. The resident evaluations for this recipient are truly extraordinary. The narrative comments celebrate her enthusiastic teaching, role modeling of exceptional patient care, her constant coaching about how to triage patients, how to prioritize tasks, and how to anticipate and prepare for complications. She's appreciated for creating space for learning in every clinical setting, clinic, labor and delivery, the OR. And by transparently sharing her own learning journey and experiences, she fosters a culture where learners feel safe to ask questions and be vulnerable as they navigate their own growth and development. Dr. Yoli Tinahero. Champions all learners so they can become the clinicians they aspire to be. I have lots more praise that I want to just share because it's truly exceptional. She's going to not stand here, but we're going to listen to all the wonderful words. And I will just say that this is a fraction of the beautiful praise that people have for Yoli. Dr. Tinahero is a phenomenal teacher. I learn so much every time I work with her. She challenges me as a learner in a way that empowers me to reason through complex clinical decisions. My favorite attending, exclamation point. Dr. Tinahero is supportive, kind, evidence-based, and the ethos of UCSF. Such a wonderful, radiant mentor who allows learners to grow by fostering a space of trust and patience. I feel safe to explore how I want to tailor my own future clinical practice because of Dr. Tinahero. The best of the best. Dr. Tinohero devotes a huge amount of time to explicit teaching. I always learn a lot when working with her. And Dr. Tinohero is fabulous. She's a wonderful doctor to her patients and such an engaged, enthusiastic, and effective teacher to us residents. She goes above and beyond to teach us during often busy clinics. I am so appreciative of Dr. Tinohero, and she is a big inspiration for the type of doctor I would like to be in the future. Let's give another round of applause to Dr. Tinohero. And as we conclude this morning, we'd like to extend congratulations to all the residents, fellows, staff, and faculty who were honored today. It's an exceptional accomplishment to be recognized for your contributions to medical education across UME and GME. We feel so lucky to learn from and with you. We also wish to celebrate our community. While we honored several individuals today, we want to acknowledge the deep commitment to medical education that this department demonstrates. Our learners, which includes students, midwifery students, residents, fellows, are truly the heart and soul of the department. They hold such beautiful visions for their careers and inspiring hopes for the patients and communities they serve. Many of the faculty and staff choose to work and stay in this department because of the opportunities they have to engage with learners. We wish to extend our tremendous gratitude to all educators in our department. You cultivate academic curiosity, inspire clinical excellence in others. You give selflessly so others can reach new heights and exceed even their greatest hopes. You are our greatest resource as we prepare our next generation of physicians and midwives to effect change in our specialty and medicine. Thanks for all you do, and thanks for being here this morning. Have a beautiful day.